Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Thursday, June 16th, 2022. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. The FOMC statement and rate decision were released in the previous session. The Fed raised rates by 75 basis points. We have our new FOMC key levels here posted in the description below. You can see right here, 37.84.5 is the new FOMC key level for June 16th. Initially we saw a bump higher, very similar to what we saw back in May. This is the May FOMC key level. We saw a bump higher, and the very next day a big whoosh to the downside. We're seeing that again here already, pre-market heading into the RTH open. A big whoosh to the downside, new lows here for the ES, and again, the idea here would be to watch for selling pressure away from this level. Very similar to last time, if we see selling pressure away from the level, whenever we get ourselves a strong low or a strong rejection of a low, you'll likely see a bounce back to that level. And that is a typical path for price after an FOMC key level. That means if we do see some selling pressure away from this level, say price drops through the previous year's low, bounces off 3,500, it could see a bounce back to the 37.84.5 down the way. So again, that's one way it could go. If by the end of the day we perhaps rally and close strong, then maybe we could rally away from the level, bounce off 4,000 and return to the level at some point down the way. So again, those are a couple of paths that can happen. The bearish path has been the most prominent path since November, where you've seen selling pressure away from the level and then a bounce back toward it, perhaps another sell-off away from that level. So again, that's one way it could go, but these levels are very important here. 37.84.5 is the ES level. Right now, narrow range at the lows of the day. This range has developed below the previous session's low. If price is able to push back through 37.40, it could open up a move back within the trading range here. The trading range being the range of the last 3 days, somewhere right in here could be the path here for price, where again, if it can push back above 37.40, it opens up a move back up and perhaps we stay in the range. Again, overall this market remains quite weak. 36.52 continues to be on the board here. That's the previous year's low price, and as we mentioned before, it's hard not to see that price being tested at some point and likely pushed through at some point. 3,600 is a big time CLVN as well. A failure to hold 3,600 opens up a rotation back down. It could take us as deep as 3,200 down the way. So again, this market remains quite weak. One thing to keep in mind is this market has not been a straight line drop though. Oftentimes what we've been seeing is range bound action or channeling action here, where if once you get to a new low here, there can be a little bit of a counterbounce, and then from there you see new lows yet again. So we'll see how this market plays out here heading into the rest of the session. Taking a look here at the NQ, also a fade after yesterday's bullish move off of the FOMC. We got ourselves our new FOMC key level here. 11,571.5 is the new FOMC key level. Last time in May, up here you can see how price again rallied on the Wednesday. Thursday got smashed, and then we saw a continuation over the next week to the downside. Eventually we did see a little bit of a lower low failure and a snap back toward the FOMC key level, didn't quite get it, and then again you see how it's sold off heavily ahead of the 2-day Federal Open Market Committee meetings. Right now, very clear 3-day range that has developed. Very similar to the ES right now. It's trying to reject prices below the previous session's low. If it can stay above 11,370, basically right where it's at right now, or better yet, start pushing through 11,450, that could open up some short-term upside here back within the range, and we could stay range bound here heading into the extended holiday weekend. Taking a look here at crude oil, you'll see crude oil sold off back toward the 110s. This is something we talked about in the previous session based on that strong high 123s, and based off of this narrow range that it developed, about a 6, 7, 8 day narrow range, we could see a return back toward the 110 level. We talked about 110 to 112 yesterday, and we got a low today, 110.91. So right smack in the middle of that range, right back to the middle of the pivot range for the month. And we're starting to see a little bit of a bounce right now, a little bit of strength off the lows. That's a decent move from the 110.91 level back to 112.70. So it's almost a 2-point rally off those lows. And again, this market has been one that when you see a pullback of several days, it is an opportunity to buy for another push to the upside. So we could be looking at strength ahead out of crude oil if it can continue to push higher on the day and close above today's midpoint. That could be bullish heading into the next wave of strength here. So again, we're channeling higher here in crude oil. Every pullback has been a buying opportunity here and here. That small pullback, and now this one. We could be looking at the next rally up ahead within this channeling behavior. So again, looking to see how this thing finishes, but right now a decent rally over the last hour of trading. And again, if price can close above today's midpoint, close on a high note, that could mark a strong low. That could be used as a nice pivot low for the next move higher. Taking a look at Bitcoin here. Bitcoin down 2.25% right now. No new lows at the moment. We did get our new FOMC key level here, 21,050. Now again, last time we got a Fed number here. That was the death knell here for Bitcoin as it dropped away from that level. 39,000 was the FOMC key level in May, and here in June the FOMC key level is 21,000. So from 39 to 21 in just one 6-week meeting period. That is tremendous, and most of that move occurred in a handful of days, right? The rest was mostly sideways range bound. I've mentioned before that if we take out the 28K level, this thing could be dropping down to 18K and perhaps even as low as 15K. This thing has the big time channel that could take us even as low as the 12.5. So again, hard to see this thing getting off the mat right now, and likely needs to continue to auction through this thin portion of the profile. So any bounce could be seen as a selling opportunity in Bitcoin until proven otherwise. Taking a look lastly at Ether futures. This one's down 4.25% right now, looking very similar to Bitcoin. Again, as we mentioned before, when this thing was sitting on 1800, especially on this day right here when it broke down at 1800, we talked about the potential for a 50% haircut in Ether futures back toward 900. Yesterday, this thing got a low of 1010, so 1010. So it's very close to getting to triple digits here. Very similar to Bitcoin. Even if this thing were to bounce one day or 2 days, it could be a selling opportunity for a push into the 902 half and down into the 717s, which is the previous year's low. So again, we could be looking at much more weakness up ahead until proven otherwise. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.